Well, Sean Lennon here with Pro Wrestling Enforcer Podcast, and we are going to welcome a veteran of independent wrestling in the Illinois, Iowa area, Old Evil Christian Rose, the PWE. And of course, he is the former Dreamwave Wrestling Champion, which is really weird to say that. I'm sure this is for you after what a run you had for the past couple of years as that champion. And of course, we're moving on, and this Saturday, we're going to see you at Third Coast Wrestling against Stampede, Jackson Larkin. This was originally supposed to be a triple threat with Paragon from Round Lake, Illinois, but I think it's just you and Stampede Jackson Larkin as well. And we've seen you wrestle many different promotions. AAW is one of them, ZOWA Live, Rocket Pro Wrestling, SLA, Journey Pro, and more. So we appreciate you being on the show. And as you being as a veteran of professional wrestling today, you've had quite the journey.
I was actually just chatting about this recently with some people online that didn't realize how long I'd been in. My first match was in March of 2006.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So next March will make 19 years. And I've been very lucky. I've gotten to travel a good part of the country. I got to go overseas. I've been in the ring with the list of guys I've been in the ring with is really bizarre, but like in the best way, like it's really incredible. Like I wrestled Vader, like just stuff like that. But yeah, it's been great. I don't have any intention of stopping anytime soon. Yeah, things are going well.
Definitely. And is there any venues that you'd like to return to? Like, would the Eagles Club be one of the venues you'd like to go back in the next couple of years?
The Berwyn Eagles Club?
Yes, the Berwyn Eagles Club.
I mean, I guess like if it was the right situation, the right place and whatnot. That place was always fun. I think it got a little bit more interesting actually after I left, because I heard that there's like a 6-sided ring upstairs in one of the locker rooms now that's just there. And I remember hearing about that, and I was like, how did that get there? And nobody has been able to answer me.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, there's a handful of venues that I think are cool. I only got to do like 1 or 2 things in Logan Square, and I would like to, that would be a fun one to revisit.
Sure.
I don't know. For me, it's more like I don't always get attached to like the venues so much, like the buildings, as much as I get attached to like the crowd and to the mob, as I like to call it. Like Dreamwave, that venue is iconic with that promotion, with that company. The Knights in LaSalle, Knights of Columbus. We've had people say like, oh, you guys should run a bigger venue because we sell out almost instantly every show. And logistically, it would just be hard to do because there's not a venue in the area that would be like necessarily suitable or whatever. So then you got to leave the area, and then that's a big risk, like even if we were to just go an hour away, well, are our fans going to go on that journey with us? Do we have to like create an entirely new crop of fans, so it's hard for me to imagine that place not being in the KC Hall. If I could go back to any venue, it's honestly one that doesn't exist anymore. Spalding Hall for St. Louis Anarchy. When COVID happened, it basically got shut down and then bought out and renovated and completely changed.
Oh, okay.
And like, it's still Spalding Hall. They still run shows there, but because it's, new owners and like I said, renovations and this, that, and the other, it's really different. And I loved the old Spalding Hall. Like it wasn't very convenient. Like our dressing area was a kitchen, or if you wanted space, you would go outside and just change outside. But it had just that great pro wrestling vibe that I love. There was like gambling machines in the bar area. Nice. The bar was fun. Yeah, and now it's much nicer. That's the thing. It's like when I say that I miss the old one, the renovations and everything and the new owners have actually made the building better. I just liked the older one more myself.
Right. Definitely. I got you. You like the nostalgia feel of it. Kind of.
Yeah. And I like wrestling that like, I don't always like wrestling that's like clean and polished and very high production. I like wrestling that feels gritty. Like I like wrestling that feels like,
Mhm.
you know, there's an, I want to say almost like an air of danger around. You
Right.
know, I like wrestling at bars and like, you know, smoke filled Knights of Columbus halls and stuff like that. I like to think that like, oh,
Sure.
there's guys playing cards in the locker room type of shit. Like that's the stuff I like. Can we swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah, we're good. We're
Oh,
good.
okay, cool.
Yeah, we don't have to adhere to anything. So I'm not much for swearing on the podcast, but you can go right ahead.
All right, cool. Sorry, I knew I let one out, and so far that's actually pretty good for me. So,
Yeah, no, so talk about how you define your success in professional wrestling today, being a veteran, like you said, since 2006. That's quite, that's almost, 20 years. So how do you define your success?
um, for me, like I had goals when I started wrestling, and I've met almost all of them. There was one or two that were like pretty lofty. You know what I mean? Like pretty high end goals, and then there were some that were much more attainable. Um, for me, man, my big thing is just I just wanted to be good at this. That was it. I just wanted to be good. I never wanted to be on television. I never wanted to be signed to WWE. I've never even applied to do extra work. That was never anything I was interested in at all. Um, not knocking anybody that wants that. By all means, go for it. You do you. I just wanted to wrestle on the independents, and I just wanted to be good. So I was I was a fanatic when I first started. Like I changed pretty much my entire lifestyle. Like I would not work a job unless I could have weekends off.
Mhm.
And a lot of jobs, that's not always an option. They're like, well, we have mandatory
Right.
overtime. I'm like, not for me, dude. So I turned down a lot of like high paying opportunities. I started working out. I made that a part of my lifestyle. I made like a diet a part of my lifestyle. Um, I got good at like, I was always pretty good at driving. Like I grew up in the country, so you kind of have to be.
Right.
But like I got used to driving long distances.
Mhm.
I got used to eating on the road. I got used to not sleeping, like because it was okay. I work a 40-hour a week job. I'm on the road every weekend and then you're back to work.
Mhm.
So you get used to being able to function while you're tired. And I just studied as much wrestling as I could. And I stopped watching it from the lens of just a fan who liked wrestling and was trying to figure out, well, how do they do that? Because once I got like trained, the how was very difficult, but it was simple. It was the why that I got obsessed with. Well, why does this happen? Why do they do that? Why not this way?
Mhm.
And so I was trying to just have matches that audiences would want to see. And then on top of that, I was working like for different characters and ideas and stuff. And for a long time, I was just a guy doing moves, and that's my least favorite type of wrestler is just a guy who does moves. And I started cutting promos more often. I was wrestling for a place called IWAU every Wednesday night. They would run a Wednesday night show. It was a free show every Wednesday. So it was only about 45 or 50 minutes from my house. So I would on Wednesday nights drive 50 minutes there, get there early, train, work out because they had a full gym set up in their locker room. It was
Wow.
incredible. Um, didn't have to set up or tear down the ring. It stayed up all the time. They had training there. So I would go down on Mondays and train. I'd go there on Wednesdays, train, and then do a show. And on some Fridays, if I didn't have another booking, I would go down and train on Fridays as well. And then when I was done, I would leave and go back to my job. I worked an overnight job and get back to work at 10 o'clock and be there from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then on Fridays, I'd get off work at 6 a.m., usually go out for some breakfast. And then depending on where I was going or where I was booked, sometimes I'd go to sleep and sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes we got
Wow.
6.5 hours to get to Arkansas. So that was the thing. I was just hustling. I just wanted to wrestle as much as I could. And I put everything else, every other aspect of my life went on the back burner. And for several years, there were multiple years in a row that I remember I only had 2 weekends off in each year, and it was Christmas and New Year's because just nobody was running shows. Um, so I did that for, like I said, a couple of years, and then luckily, Dreamwave, Jay Repsol, uh, was shown a promo of mine. WWE referee Jason Ayers is a friend, and he had been on several shows with me. And he was already reffing for Dreamwave, and he was like, "Hey, you got to check this guy out. He's good. He can talk." So he showed Jay some of my promos. Jay really liked it, so he reached out to me. And at this point in time, Dreamwave was doing like tryout matches to get on. That was a place that I wanted to be at, but I didn't know how. And so he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to come wrestle here?" And I was like, more than anything. So that was what really got the ball rolling for me, was that place and the opportunities that they gave me. But yeah, like my big thing was, I was like, I just want to be good at this. So yeah, that was it. Just did the work, man. Like I wish there was some other like sappy thing, but like outside of like a lot of luck and doing the work, that was it.
Wow. So yeah, that it seemed like you had a very busy schedule early on.
Yeah, still do. Definitely not as busy, like I'm in a much better place in life now. I've settled down a lot, but still busy. Like I usually average anywhere from 4 shows to a month to, I don't know, 6 or 8 sometimes, even at this point. But yeah, and like I had a lot of friends with me back then that helped me out big time, that would travel with, and they would get booked on shows. Matt Cage, Alex Castle were vital in the early years of my career. We would travel anywhere, and it was usually Rose and some dude versus those two in a tag match. We did that a lot, and then there would be times where it's like, okay, those two in a tag match, and then Rose is wrestling so and so. Yeah, and like that was it. I just wanted to be good. That was all. I went to a handful of seminars. I learned as much as I could from them. I think seminars are usually very good to go to. And yeah, I just tried to absorb as much of it as I could.
For sure. Definitely. And can you talk about your match this past Saturday at all? Because people are going to watch the podcast. They'll see you're sporting a different look.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little different. She had to change up the appearance a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, so I had me a cage match with Gringo Loco. I highly recommend watching it. It's one of the most violent kind of nuts matches I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Gringo is, in my opinion, one of the best luchadors in the world right now. And I am not a luchador. That is not my style. But we had a banger of a cage match. Tons of violence, chairs, trash cans. I did a destroyer for the first time in my career.
I saw that.
A destroyer. Yeah. I'd never done one before. I don't know that I ever will again. But so that happened. The Coyotes with the assist. I won. Had to pull out the old burning finish for it, but I did it. Then there was some unpleasantness, and I'm no longer the Dreamwave Champion. I don't have any hair. So.
Definitely. But, obviously, this is the new champion is Connor Hopkins, and you and him just teamed up at SLA Anarchy. So maybe that will be the last time you guys will be teamed up. Or can you still team up outside of the Dreamwave universe? Or
probably not.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, that's the bridge that we'll have to cross whenever my next date for Anarchy is actually in July. So that's a conversation I'll have to have with them before they put any flyers or magic graphics out.
For sure. But for Hopkins, did you feel like this was inevitable? He was eventually going to be the champion. Just unfortunately, it had to be you to give up the championship to him.
Yeah, I mean, like all 3 of the Coyotes are, like, I call them my kids all the time. Like I trained all 3 of them. Been up and down the roads with them, great friends and everything. And Connor's the guy that, like, very similarly, like he just wants it, and like he is out there hustling. He is on the road as much as he can be. He's working out. He's very good. He studies wrestling relentlessly. So I was, and like, that comparison has been made not just by us, but by a lot of people that they're like, oh, he's like a younger you. But I always knew that like eventually like Dreamwave was going to be his place. Like I saw the writing on the wall, like bias aside. You know what I mean? Like to me, it was obvious. I was like, this guy, he's going to be the guy.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't think it would be at my own expense, but they did what I would have done. So I can't be too judgmental. I can be upset. I can't be judgmental.
Right, for sure. And we'll see what happens. I think the fans are invested to see, what how this plays out. We'll see in August.
It was it's sometimes it's frustrating, and it's not just a Dreamwave thing. It's not just that camera crew, but wrestling in general. I've learned, and this is why if you're listening to this and you want to go to a live independent show, I highly recommend you go to a live independent show. The cameras and the video, they never fully get the audio. It never comes through the same way. Even when you can tell when you're watching something that the crowd is going wild, it's not the same. You just can't feel it. And, regardless of how it affected me, that place came unglued for that moment. And, that's something that, like, I will always remember. I know Connor will always remember. I think the fans there will always remember. Like, it's one of the best reactions that I have ever heard. And like I said, I've been wrestling for a long time. And I've had some great reactions from audiences. And then you go back and you watch it, and it's like you can have the nicest equipment. You can have the best cameras, the best sound equipment. Right. It's just not the same.
Yeah. I definitely understand that for sure. So now it's happened. You've kind of made amends of it. It's 8 years that you had not been pinned or submitted into Dreamwave Wrestling. So is that a legacy for you that you're going to leave behind, or are you feeling like, no, forget, F this, I'm going to leave a new legacy. I'm going to get that championship belt. I'm going to go on a new streak.
Honestly, it's only been a few days, and I've just kind of been trying to reset and recoup and everything. So not trying to be dismissive, but I don't know, I still think that there's a lot that I have to offer Dreamwave. I'm always eternally thankful for that place and everything it's done for me. And I do think that if that was it, if I just never did go back, I still think I've left an incredible legacy there. Like the stats don't lie, the tenure doesn't lie, like the fans don't lie, but I mean, everything's still very fresh. So I haven't fully decided one way or another. I mean, the next show is not until August. So I've got time to figure it out, really. But yeah, I think that, like, if that is the last time that we see me wrestling at Dreamwave, that could be the end of a great story. And I'm always a big fan. I say it all the time. Let me tell you a story. What a great ending. Like you go on this epic decade of complete domination of the place. You have this 400, I think they said it was 450 days, the last title run was. I know it was over 400. I can't quite remember the stat. And then it is taken from you by your successor, the guy that you handpicked to be like the heir to the throne. That's a good ending, dude. Like sometimes in wrestling, guys overstay their welcome. I don't ever want to be that guy who overstays his welcome. And sometimes they have a good finale to something, and then they kind of step on it. And but then sometimes, they keep going, and the next story is even better. So again, not to be dismissive, but to answer your question, I don't know.
Yes. I know we've seen some new names added to Dreamwave.
A lot.
One guy is Channing Thomas. I see he's been impressing. And so any idea of a guy like him, right? What does he have to do
and that
to become,
he's got that dastardly acapella with him too. No, I think Channing's a very, very impressive wrestler. I think he's got near limitless. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have a job. I'd be surprised if he's not on TV in the next couple of years. he just right now for Dreamwaves especially, he's still pretty new. You know, I think he's only been on 2 shows, maybe 3. He just needs more time there. That's it. You know, like I think that people are already like gravitating towards him. They see what he can do in the ring. And like I said, he's got that dastardly Sidney Bacabella.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's more just a wait and see thing with him rather than like if. It's more of a matter of when.
Right. Definitely. And you know, you've got Stampede, Jackson, Larkin at Third Coast Wrestling, you know. We had mentioned it was originally supposed to be a triple threat match with another competitor that's bowed out. But, you know, how much forward are you looking to this debut, a new promotion? I don't know if it's an area that you're familiar with as well. Like you said, you've probably wrestled all over the state and regardless, but how excited are you about?
It's like northern Chicagoland, right?
Yeah, Round Lake County.
So at this point, I'm much more relaxed when it comes to like traveling and when it comes to debuts than I was when I was much younger. Back then I would be like, oh man, gotta get up, gotta get on the road at the crack of dawn. You know, whatever. Now I'm very much like, okay, how far away is it? Not a problem. I'll get up and go to the gym and have lunch and do some errands and then pack my bag and away we'll go. Debuting in a new place is always fun. I mean, obviously I've debuted tons of places, you know, they come and they go. Some of them stay, which is great. But yeah, no, I always like to debut at a new place. It's nice to like, you meet new people. It's nice to see other people that maybe you don't know are even going to be there, you know? And sometimes it's like, oh man, I haven't seen you in years. And now we're on this show together. Like, that's very fun. And it's just nice to see a new place, you know? Like, I've gotten to see a good chunk of the country, you know, like a lot of the Midwest, especially on somebody else's dime. And I've gotten to go to a lot of places that I would have never gone if it wasn't for professional wrestling, you know? But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a fun time. I know it's a new place. I know it's a new promotion. I hope it does well. And they can keep running more shows, you know?
For sure. They've got a few shows planned after this, and hopefully they have a successful turnout. I believe Paragon was the original opponent that was supposed to be in this triple threat match. So what is the difference for you going from a triple threat to a singles? Does it matter or?
Oh, I much rather have a singles.
Yeah.
Like I like triple threat matches. But I feel like I'm at my best in a singles match. I feel like I'm able to control things better. I think I'm better at registering with an audience.
Yes.
You know, I don't mind tags if I'm with the right person on my team. I hate just throwing together tag matches. Oh God, it's just not fun for me. I like triple threats because I think they're fun and they're creative. And you can still tell a good story. I do not like being in scramble matches, like your 4 ways, 5 ways, 6 ways, just all that stuff where it's just, you know, guys doing moves, and I'm like, this is not for me, dude. So fortunately, I don't have to do that very often because I've made that very clear with a lot of people.
Okay.
I recently was in a 4-way tag team match, like 4 teams.
Yes.
And every person in that locker room, whether they wanted to hear it or not, they knew I did not want to be in that match. But no, like I think I'm more worth the money that I get paid when I'm just having a one-on-one match.
Okay, yeah.
Like otherwise, I'm kind of like it's not that I can't do them or anything, but I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. It's a lot of moves. I'm going to go home now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably gonna display a better chance than also for Stampede to display what he knows. And you know, because he's one of the upcoming guys as well. So not just for you, but for him as well. I think probably a better opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Anything have you looked at your opponent? Anything you noticed about him or?
Oh, I don't watch wrestling.
Okay.
I barely watch wrestling anymore. So like, no, with all due respect to the guy, no, I haven't. I saw the promo video that he did for the show, for the match, and that's all I've seen of the gentleman. I don't watch a lot of stuff on the independents, especially. Every so often I'll try, and it's there's guys out there that I really like, but there's just not a lot of wrestling out there that I really like right now.
Sure.
I don't watch WWE hardly at all, outside of like maybe the pay-per-views. I'm actually going to SmackDown this Friday, just to have fun.
Okay.
But like I think I've only gone to like, this will be maybe the fourth WWE show I've ever gone to, and like two of them were house shows back in like '04. Yeah, I'll watch AEW because I actually like AEW a bit. But even then, it's like if I get home and the show's over, like, yeah, I've got it recorded, DVR. But I'm like, I'm just going to turn on a movie and then go to bed.
Right.
If there's like a really big thing, if there's like a big match that I'm interested in watching, I'll seek that out for sure.
Right.
And I enjoy New Japan a lot, but it's a little bit harder to like watch, to find over here.
True.
But yeah, like as far as like just like current independent wrestling, I just don't watch. I don't know.
All right. Well, it should be a good match. And just from what I've seen of him and obviously what I've seen from you throughout the years. So
cool. Good.
And you've had some memorable names. You've been in the ring with. You've been in the ring with Hammerstone, Matt Cardona, Johnny TV,
Yep.
But, one more personal was, I believe, your match with Hades. So, can you tell about the differences when you have a guy that you have some history with? You and Hades had matches at Dreamwave before. I believe you had a steel cage match in the history.
So, fun fact, that steel cage match was the only match that me and him had ever had until this past October at Dreamwave. Yeah, dude, he's great. Like, it's always nice to be in the ring with somebody more than once. You get a feeling for like their timing, like their strengths and their weaknesses and whatnot. And so that cage match I had with Hades, that was back in like 2013. So, we were at like almost 10 years to the day, actually, from our last match. And he hadn't missed a beat. If anything, he'd only gotten better, which is great. That's the biggest compliment I can like pay to the dude. But yeah, like the list of names too, like, that all the ones that you mentioned were relatively recent, but like if you go back far enough, man, some of the guys I've been in the ring with, it's nuts. But no, I always like having rematches and like bringing stuff back, and then you've got more that you can build on creatively as well.
For sure. I mean, you guys said you had a match with Vader, like, talk about how it was to get into ring with him. And was it kind of more of his latter years than when he was younger, right?
It would have been around 2013-ish, I think. It was a 6-man tag. He was very intimidating, and he was weird. Like just a weird guy. He beat me. He pinned me with the Vader bomb. Absolutely crushed me. But yeah, like he was a nice dude in the back and everything. He was very nice afterwards. Just a really, I mean, like you all know he's big, but like, man, you just don't appreciate it until you saw him in person. Holy cow, he was a big man.
Wow.
But yeah, like that, to me, that's one of the strangest ones. It's like I wrestled AJ Styles, I wrestled Rhino, I wrestled Matt Hardy, Gargano, Ciampa, Kyle O'Reilly several times, actually, Davey Richards several times, Chuck Taylor, Ricochet. Like it just, all that stuff just happened like fall. I teamed with Akira Tozawa one time. Yeah, just a bunch of like really fun random things where whenever they would pop up that they were going to happen, I was like, oh, sweet, let's go. And then now I can look back on it and be like, man, that is nuts that got to do it.
For sure. And like, do you feel like, just like they have, you would have to reinvent yourself over time? like to
Oh
say
yeah,
stay relevant, right? That was my thing, is for you to stay relevant in the current pro wrestling climate as well, just like they have.
absolutely. No, you always got to stay fresh. You always got to do something different. Like the Christian Rose that people have seen for the last several years has been like, an evolution of that character, which was very different from what it was before. Like the bitter lunatic was a thing that I started doing in like 2012 and ran with that for a couple of years. And then, I reinvented myself at one point as the professional low life, and then I reinvented myself as old evil. And then it was that damn coyote, then it was the king of the valley after that. Like you're always just trying to like evolve and change the character and change who and what you are. So now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, cool. I have like a fresh start,
Mhm.
a blank canvas. So I'm already trying to think of like, what to do to further it and to evolve it and make it something, new that people are still going to be interested in seeing.
Definitely. And then how do you measure your success with pro wrestling? Is it the fans' reaction, the matches, the locker room reaction?
How do I measure it? Like me personally,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I measure it as if people enjoy seeing my matches and they enjoy my promos and they enjoy the work I do. That is a success. If the people that I am in the ring with and that I'm on shows with, if they enjoy being in the ring with me and having me around, I consider that a success. Like, I one of the nicest things that to me somebody can say is like, "Oh man, you're having a match with Rose. That's going to be so fun." Or when they say like, "Oh man, you're having a match with Rose, so easy." Like that's the thing where I'm like, now I know that I've got, like when I said that like I just want to be good, if I can get like a great fan reaction from a match and afterwards people are like, "That was fun, that was easy, thank you, I learned something." For me, that's it. You know, where else do you go
For
from there?
sure. Definitely. And then you had the matches early on with Mustapha Ali, and that current
Oh yeah.
success, he's riding an incredible streak, just like you were riding that streak prior to Saturday. And this is the 2024 campaign start for him. So how do you feel about how he's doing in the business after
I love it.
WWE?
I absolutely love it. He was very, very helpful to me very early on, especially at Dreamwave. Like there were people there that like were, they were high on me and they were vouching for me and they were giving me opportunities. But he was like the guy that was like, no, Rose is the dude. Like you got to start, investing in him, and you got to get, like me and him hit it off almost instantly. We always got along. He's a great friend, good dude, and I'm very happy for his success. He absolutely deserves it.
Definitely. Hopefully, we'll see him in the future at Dreamwave. He has a championship currently, so maybe you and
Yeah.
him will cross paths.
Oh man, what would that be now? Holy hell!
And then uh, from where you started till now, talk about your journey of fulfillment as a pro wrestler. Like, how do you define how you feel fulfilled?
I think there's only like two things maybe that I really wanted goal wise. One of them I think I could still possibly achieve. The other one I'm like, feel like the window is shut on that. But it's fine. Like I'm very happy. I'm very content with, that sense of fulfillment. Like I said, that people I think that there's enough people out there that respect me and my abilities and my work and the effort that I put into it. That's very fulfilling. I know that there's a lot of fans that appreciate the work that I've done, and that's the best part to me. That's the most satisfying and fulfilling part is that, I do a lot of things in my matches and whatnot that are very, very detail oriented, and you kind of have to pay attention in order to get it. But I know for a fact that there are fans out there that are aware of this and they do pay attention and they do see the details and they do get it, and that's an immensely fulfilling sensation to know that I'm doing these things to tell a story that I would have wanted to see when I was just a fan watching wrestling, and that there are people that are out there now that get it and that they appreciate it, because a lot of guys won't do that. A lot of guys will just say, "Oh, this will get a reaction, this will get a reaction," and I'm like, right, but they're not going to think about it on the drive home.
Mhm.
They're just going to clap and cheer, and then forget that it instantly happened. You're not challenging your audience. You're not making them think about what we're doing. And I appreciate so much, like, anytime I have a match with like a new guy or younger guy, which is one of my favorite things to do now. There's times where like something will happen in ring, and then afterwards, in the back, they're like, well, why did you do that? And I'm like, well, here's why. This, that, and the other. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't get it. And I go, right. You didn't get it, but now you do. And they're like, yeah. And I go, somebody out there got it. Somebody out there didn't get it, and they're going to get it when they rewatch it, or when they think about it just a little bit harder, or when they remember it on the drive home. Like I said, those guys, that's the stuff that you do that makes people want to come back to wrestling.
Yes.
That's the stuff that you do that makes people want to like pay more attention to the shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you again, Christian, being on PWE Report. And if you have to tell anybody out there to come check you out this Saturday, do you have any other shows planned for this weekend too? If you wanted to plug those.
For this weekend, no. I've got nothing this weekend, and I'm actually off next weekend as well. I'm going to very much enjoy the time off. I'm going to heal up a little bit. But yeah, that's all I got going on this upcoming couple weeks is 3CW.
Definitely. For 3CW, that's going to be an amazing event. Everybody check that out in Round Lake, Illinois. And, follow Christian Rose on social media, and you can go ahead and tell people how to follow you.
I am on Twitter at WAWED Podcast. That stands for What Are We Even Doing, which is a podcast that I have, which you can also check out. It is on Patreon. It is on Spotify. It's called What Are We Even Doing? It's a wrestling-themed podcast. We do talk about other stuff too, but really funny stuff. Very much enjoyed doing it. Started doing it back in the COVID days. It's still going.
Nice.
So be sure to check that out. Follow me on Twitter on that. You can follow me on Instagram at Wrestling Coyote. Don't add me on Facebook. Just don't. And let's see what else. Oh, I am on Snapchat at Bitter Lunatic. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Definitely. Well, hey, Christian, I appreciate you being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer. It was great to connect with you finally and get you on the show. And best of luck to you, of course, this Saturday at 3CW. And before I let you go, before I let you go, can you do a quick shout out for PWE?
Shout out to PWE, Pro Wrestling Enforcer.
Oh,
hell of a podcast.
I was gonna actually stop this recording and do another one. Is that okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.